Hello, seventh graders and bird watchers. This is Mr. Blackburn, and I'm going to walk you through the fourth set of birds. There are, I believe, 13 birds in this group. I'm going to walk you through the landmarks of each of these birds, field identification markings to help you identify them better and give you some information about the birds that's helpful. So stay with me, fast forward, go backwards, and then always go to those practice things that we have, and then take the quizzes. Again, this is set 4. So let's get started with our first bird. The first one is called the Eastern Kingbird. All right. It has a black and white tuxedo. You can see on this picture here the black back and the white belly. I call that a tuxedo. And it has this black Zorro mask. And then also, as another field marking, has the white tipped tail. I also have a little red crown on here, but you hardly ever get to see that. So when I see this bird here, I think of a bird dressed in a tuxedo. When I think of tuxedos, I think of those people that work on the East Coast, New York, Washington, D.C., so they're always in their tuxes and always in their suits. So because this one is wearing a suit, it's the Eastern Kingbird. Hopefully you can remember that. As opposed to the one that is on the other coast. This is the Western Kingbird. Okay? Now the Western Kingbird, on the other hand, doesn't wear a suit. It has a couple of different things. One, it has a big sunset chest because the sun sets in the west. So that helps me remember it. And it also has these two white stripes on the tail. You can see here very distinct stripes. And I think of stripes on a racing car. When I think of racing cars, I think of California Sunset Strip and all the hot rods that go on out in California. So just the opposite. So if I could go back, we've got the Eastern Kingbird, which is in the tuxedo, black and white with the white tipped tails. And then we have the Western Kingbird, which is on the other coast with the sunset, not up high, down low, the sunset, and the racing stripes on the tail. This one has the gray head also. Like everybody in California are old people because they all migrate where it's nice and warm. Our third one is called the Great Crested Flycatcher. Now, of the three flycatchers, the Great Crested and the Western look very similar, but there are some distinctions when you learn to identify the bird. Okay, Great Crested Flycatcher, 3 colors, gray, yellow, red. Okay, Great Crested Flycatcher. Okay, 3 colors. It also has the red tail. This isn't actually red like the cardinal, but we call this red in bird watching. So how do you tell this one from the Western Kingbird? Well, it still has kind of sunset, but it has the reddish head and more red on its wings. And it does not have the very distinct stripes. Now you may see pictures and you may see this bird and think you see that white outline. That's not that very distinct white line. Okay? So this is the Great Crested Flycatcher. Let me go back. This is the Western Kingbird. Okay? I'm going to go a couple times. The Western Kingbird, 2 colors, gray, yellow, with the white stripe on the tail. Okay? The Great Crested Flycatcher, 3 colors, Great Crested Flycatcher. Okay? Gray, yellow, and then they have the red or that brown color, and not that distinct stripe on the tail. It just kind of has a red tail. All right? So, Great Crested Flycatcher. The fourth bird that we're going to discuss is very common in this area, and it's a very plain bird. It's really hard to describe, but once you see them a couple of times, you begin to identify them. And it's called the Eastern Phoebe. No really distinct markings for the Eastern Phoebe. They're almost always solitary, so you'll see them by themselves and kind of hang out on low branches. by themselves. They're easier to identify by their sound than they are by their sight. But I'll give it a shot. They have a white shoulder, and a rather large head. So their head is kind of bigger than their body. That's about all I can give you. The very distinct black beak and the black eyes. But see, even on this picture, you see the white shoulder, black head, black beak. That's the eastern phoebe. Okay, very common in this area. Now we move away from the flycatchers and the phoebes, and we move to this, and this is one of the easiest ones to remember. It's a tiny little bird, about the size of a mouse, believe it or not. About the size of a mouse. It's called the white-eyed vireo because it has the white eye. See that blue eye? Isn't that cool? So the white-eyed vireo. Also, another one of the field markings, when you see this little bird, kind of has the drab yellow, and it'll have these two white bars on the wings. And I know these are details, but if you get into bird watching and you see these birds and you're going out looking for birds, you're going to be able to pick up on these field markings. So the white eye and the stripes on the shoulders of the wing. This is the white-eyed vireo. Next bird, I bet you know without me even putting the name up, right? It's the blue jay. Very common in this area. Although the West Nile virus wiped out a lot of the bluebird population, or the blue jay population, in North Dallas over the last 5 years. So I think they're starting to come back now. Has the blue back and the gray chest with that black collar all the way around. Male and female look similar, although the females are a little more drab and not quite as distinct blue because they sit on their nest like most females do. Okay, so this is the blue jay. This is the largest bird in this group. Most commonly mistaken for the great-tailed grackle, but this bird compared to the great-tailed grackle is even large. And this one is the American crow. Okay, black body, black beak, black eyes, black feet. Everything about this bird is black. So I'm going to go over it again. Black body, black beak, black eyes, black feet, black body, black beak, black eyes, black feet. Very large bird, almost the size of an owl or a hawk, but doesn't qualify in that group. That's why we have it in a different group. This is the American crow. This is another tiny little bird about the size of a mouse. So just to kind of give you something relative. And they're really out right now this time of year. These are called the Carolina chickadees. It gets its name chickadee from the sound that it makes. Chickadee-dee-dee-dee. And you may have heard those in your backyard or on the school campus. Carolina chickadees, black cap, black beard, and a very small bird. So if you see these little birds, they're upside down on the trees, and they love to eat the little fresh buds and seeds because they have a very small beak, as you can see. But very distinguishing characteristics. The gray body with the black cap and the black beard. The Carolina chickadee. Another bird that's very common in this area, and probably, again, about the size of the mouse, and one that you've seen, but may not have recognized, is the tufted titmouse. It has the blue body, kind of that grayish blue body, and orange underneath the wings, kind of like underarm stains. But they all have it. And then it has the little tuft, has the little Blackburn hair that sticks up. Okay, so the tufted titmouse, blue body, orange under the wings, kind of a stained white belly, and has the tuft that stands up. They're pretty territorial. When we go to White Rock Lake, I'll try to call some tufted titmouse. The next bird is another very small bird. Likes to hang out around brush, so it hardly ever gets in the top of trees. Stays along the brushy area, and that's the Carolina wren. It has this very distinctive checkerboard brown coloring on it, on its back, kind of a dull yellow chest. But again, that distinctive filled marking that you're going to be looking for through your binoculars will be this white eyebrow. Okay, so you've got the brown checkered back and the white eyebrow. If you can put those together, you have found a Carolina Red. Everyone in Texas should know this bird. This is our state bird, the state bird of Texas. It's the northern mockingbird. Some distinctive markings about the mockingbird, although it's probably one that you're very familiar with because they're all over campus. They like to hang out on the ground and in the trees. But it's the gray and black body. But don't know if you noticed or not, but look at this picture down here. When they're in flight, you have this broad white stripe on the shoulders of the northern mockingbird. The next bird that we're going to cover, again, is one that's out this time of year in the spring and walks along the ground a lot, and it's the American robin. It's that robin redbreast. There's a song, The Rockin' Robin. Some distinctive characteristics. One, you're going to find them along the ground. And then you have that black or gray, dark gray back. You have the large orange chest. And then you have, look at this, that white circle around the eye. And believe it or not, that's going to be one of those distinctive markings you're going to see when you learn this bird. The black back, the large orange chest, and you're going to notice those white rings around the eye for the American robin. This is one of the coolest birds that we'll find. I've seen them on campus already. They always hang out in groups, and so if you see a group of small birds flying around in the area, more than likely it is this. They're called the cedar waxwing, and I'll explain why they're called waxwings in just a moment. But let me give you the characteristics of them. All right, look at that black mask. So all of these birds have a black mask, like a burglar bird. The black mask, they have the yellow tipped tail in that light yellow to brown body feathers, and the feathers actually kind of look like fur. They're just a cool bird. Now, if you look over on this picture here, you see that little red spot? It looks like their wings have been clipped, and then it's a blood spot, but it's not. It's the waxwing, and that's how they get their names. Okay, this one is a cedar because it hangs out around the cedar, but this one, like the others, have that red clip wing. It looks like it's bleeding, but that's the waxwing. So this is the cedar waxwing. That's all of the birds for this group. So review the practice and then take the quiz. See you later.